Talk about your soldiers, because some of the units obviously have suffered losses. There's been injuries, but talk about that. I know you've had a couple this week, but talk about the great job they have done. Because I'm just here a short period of time and I can see it. But you've been
I think anybody who spends 5 minutes
yeah.
with any of our soldiers over here, and you've certainly been blessed to be able to do it, so you know firsthand. But everybody who's come out here and just have seen how disciplined they are, and what they do, and the kind of energy that they put in it every day, oftentimes 18, 20 hours a day, for 365 days. I mean, it's remarkable what they're doing in a very tough environment. We've had, specifically when you look at Kunar, which is a very kinetic and very complex province, I'm so proud of what they've done. It is kinetic. The population knows that they're trying to take care of them. They're very discerning when they're going after the bad guys, and they've taken care of a lot of Taliban that's out there as well, and that's made a huge difference in the fight over here. So, like I said, I'm most proud of just their energy and their discipline, and how they just get after it every day. So whenever I want energy, I just spend a little bit of time with them.
And hopefully our community in Colorado Springs will do one of their big welcome home events.
Yeah,
because they deserve it. They all deserve it.
Well, we appreciate really everything that Colorado Springs has done. We are lucky to be, to come Fort Carson right there with Colorado Springs. And we call them the Friends of 4-4 because we've just had so many people, the packages that have come in from all around Colorado Springs and really all over the country. But we've got a huge group of supporters in Fort Carson that supported us as we were getting ready to deploy, and then over here. And I'd also like to say just thank you to all those folks back there who really support our families. So they've done a lot for our families as well. So we feel blessed.
Yeah, that's good. I always ask the soldiers about the care packages and letters, and they always talk about how much it means to them. And so you've been getting a lot from not just the community, but around the country too.
We've gotten from around the country, and we had the Battle of Keating, and we saw just an outpouring of support for our soldiers. And a couple of things up at Bostic and up in northern Kunar, very difficult area where 361 Cav's at, where 212 is at over in the Pesh. They had gotten all these packages, and they had what was called a free X instead of a PX, and so they got a bunch of these packages and they put them all together, and the chaplains kind of ran it where people needed things, hygiene items or whatever, that they were there. So I think what's different about Afghanistan is it is our soldiers are living in much more austere conditions over here. It's much more remote on a lot of these outposts. You wouldn't know it from talking to them because that's not what they talk about when you go out there, but they're very appreciative of anything that they get from the communities.
Absolutely, and plus battling the heat. I mean, some days it can be it amazes me just walking around and just seeing how the soldiers are every day.
It's a different heat here, and we got quite the extremes here. Up in northern Kunar, they had in Kunar a lot of snow because of the altitude and some heavy rains. But I don't know what it's going to be here. It was last summer 110 degrees. Different than Iraq because very high humidity here. So yeah, there's definitely, you learn to live in the weather over here in Afghanistan.
You mentioned the Battle of Keating. That was with the 361, right?
That was Black Knight 361.
Right, and we lost what, 12?
We lost 8 soldiers.
8 soldiers, okay. And I understand that people back home replaced everything they lost, including computers, I heard?
We had computers and personal items, iPods. It was remarkable. It continued, I think, to the point where Lieutenant Colonel Brown had, the commander of 361, and Sergeant Major Wilson had said, "Hey, we've got everything that we need." But it was an amazing outpouring of support, and I know that there's a lot of those troopers up there have developed a lot of relationships with people out there across the country who really supported those soldiers and all of our families.
You had mentioned the families a number of times, and on my trips to Iraq and interviewing the soldiers, the Marines, They always talk like they're very glad for the support back home, but what about our families? Talk about what you've known is happening back home.
Well, first, we're lucky to have a lot of leaders. A lot of our folks have deployed a lot. So, I mean, part of that is just expectations, knowing what it's going to be like when you deploy. So we are very lucky to have some good systems set in place for our families and prepare our families, which I think is very important before we deployed. And to include a lot of the systems that were on Fort Carson and getting everything ready. We have the community is honestly have supported. We've asked for something back there for our families. I mean, you almost don't want to ask because you know that people are just going to pour on the support for it. So I just think for us, Colorado Springs is such a they understand that we're a nation at war, and they've just continued to support us, and that always makes a difference when people are back there thinking about you, and that's what a letter or a care package says to a soldier. It reminds him that people appreciate what he's doing.
Right. So for the replacements that are coming in, the hope is that people will continue doing that.
And I think they will. We've done a lot of passing off of addresses and new commanders, and we get a lot of that through email, and we're very lucky to have that at I think even some of our really remote outposts we've been able to set up email for them as well. So we definitely want to pass that off. We've got some great Americans that have been supporting some of the same soldiers that come into the same remote outpost time after time after time, and have just been really supporting those soldiers for years.
Right. I know Patty Beatty with Soldiers Angels asked me to get APO addresses, and I know when other support groups watch these videos, they're going to be doing the same thing. So it will continue.
Anything that they do, I know the soldiers they appreciate it.
Absolutely. Would you like to give a shout out to your family and friends back home? I know but probably by the time this airs, it may be going up by then. But go ahead.
I'm certainly looking forward to seeing them. There's a whole bunch of people that I could talk about back in Colorado Springs that specifically have done just a lot. Went overboard for our brigade. Mike Falmer, Don Addy, Tony Corin, Bob Stack. Soldiers Angels. I mean, I could just name so many organizations back there who have just who really bend over backwards for our soldiers, and then just the people that remember on a daily basis and do all the things that we can't even count. So I know the list will go on, and we're looking forward to getting back home and thanking them in person for all they've done.
I'm sure they want to thank you too. Okay. Anything else you want to add about the mission here, or?
Nothing I can think of now.
Well, I appreciate it. I know you're looking forward to going home too. Everybody's almost counting the days right now. But
yeah, we're trying not to count the days.
Yeah.
Actually, we're trying to stay absolutely focused.
Yeah, you have to stay focused.
The day we get on the plane. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you very much, Colonel. I appreciate it, and thank you again for your service to our country. And I'm looking forward to seeing you back at Fort Carson too, but maybe back in the community.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, once again, folks, I want to thank Colonel George for a great job for all the 4BCT 4ID and all the troops here. The great job they're doing. But again, as I've said in the previous programs and interviews we've done here in Afghanistan, remember the slogan, watch and share. You've watched another video from Afghanistan. We're asking you to share these videos with everybody you can. We're going to work on some ways when we get back where people can put the videos on their own websites. The important thing is getting these progress stories and positive stories. My goal, to starters, is 1 million Americans all across the country, and I know we can do it together, all of us working together. So this is Bob Calvert reporting from Afghanistan on www.talkingwithheroes.com. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless America.